Greetings and welcome to Fresh Fire International Ministries Wisdom Wednesday video. I'm Pastor Janice Fareed Hardy, and this week's video is entitled, What Do You See? Yes, what do you see? Now, near the beginning, or in the beginning really, of Jeremiah's ministry, which we see in Jeremiah chapter 1, God asks Jeremiah the question, What do you see? What do you see, Jeremiah? And Jeremiah answered, I see an almond tree. And the Lord said, that's good, because that means for you that I am getting ready to perform my word. And then the Lord asked Jeremiah again, what do you see, Jeremiah? What do you see, Jeremiah? Okay, and Jeremiah answered, well, this time I see a boiling pot, and it's facing the north. And the Lord approved of that answer. And he said, yes, that means for you, Jeremiah, that I am getting ready to bring forth calamity, disaster, terrors, basically. And I'm going to bring them in from the north. Okay, that's what that means. You see well, Jeremiah. Now, don't focus on the answers. Don't focus on those answers, but focus on one thing that God was doing with prophet Jeremiah. By asking Jeremiah the same question twice, God was making sure that Jeremiah was seeing through God's eyeglasses, and that Jeremiah, the prophet, was not limiting his vision to only what he saw directly in front of him. God wanted Jeremiah to stretch beyond the human eyes, to catch a glimpse of what God was seeing, okay? Catch a glimpse into what eternity is doing. To God, as we know, okay? To God, once he has spoken or ordained a thing, that thing already exists. It's already here. That means for God, it's done, all right? Even if our human eyes don't see it yet, okay? So when I'm saying put on the eyeglasses of God, I'm saying look beyond what is directly in front of you, the human condition, the human sights, and look into, take a glimpse as God allows you to see into eternity, to see what God is doing. And it is possible. It's possible because we see it throughout the Bible. And it is the will of God. So, as with Jeremiah, God is also asking you, what do you see? What do you see? Are you only seeing your immediate condition, or your families, friends, churches, countries, or even the world's, immediate condition? Okay. Or will you allow my spirit, saith the Lord, to stretch your eyesight, your mind sight, your heart sight, and even your word sight, okay? To catch a glimpse of God's sight. Will you put on God's eyeglasses? And even if, like Jeremiah, you don't understand what it means right now, as some old folks back in the day used to say, you will understand by and by, okay? How you see, it determines how you're going to move forward. It determines your next step. And it also determines what will be your final step regarding something, okay? For example, if all that you see about something or someone is hopelessness, being overpowered, no way out, can't get this cloud lifted off of me, well then, the way that you're seeing, that's how you're going to move forward, okay? That's how you're going to move forward, basically. I won't say progress, but move forward in regard to that person or in regard to that thing. And on the flip side, if all that you see is the glitter, the excitement, the woo-woo, the wow-wow, then you might be on your way to falling into a deep, dark ditch, okay? A hole that you didn't see coming. With the eyeglasses of God, we see the upside and, if you want to say it, what could be the downside. We need the eyesight of God Almighty. What we see, okay, what do you see? We need to be able to see it through God's eyeglasses. And we can, okay? It is the will of God. It is the will of God. Now, the more that we practice seeing not just what's immediately in front of us, which can be terrifying or wonderful sometimes, but when we stretch beyond that to see through God's eyeglasses, the more that we practice this, the more we will see that there are things that we can change. And there are things that we cannot change, okay? Because those things are the will of God, okay? And God is using those things that we cannot change to fulfill God's purpose, okay? All right? Oftentimes, perhaps like me, you've heard people just thinking that they need to do something that's going to change the world, okay? I want to be a world changer, okay? But you don't need to do that. And in fact, you probably, I hate to say it, you probably can't even do that. No, you don't need to do that. What you need to do, what I need to do, is just change our answer to this question. What do you see? What do you see? Because that determines whether or not we enter into the destiny that God has ordained for us. What do you see? What do you see? Let me give you an example, a biblical example. One of my favorite stories in John chapter 4. Okay, even after her encounter with Jesus, okay, even after she realized that Jesus was the Messiah and she went and told others, okay, that woman at the well, she was still unmarried, okay, she still needed to find a way to support herself in a community that might still be looking down on her because of her past, okay, all right, she hadn't changed the world, okay, yet she allowed the Lord to change her eyeglasses, okay, to change what she was seeing. And when she changed what she was seeing, the world, I repeat, didn't change. But when she changed what she was seeing, then she began to see a lot of new possibilities. A lot of new possibilities opened up for her. She was able to move forward in a different way, in a new way. She was no longer hiding from society. And actually, she became pretty extroverted, in society. It no longer mattered to her what people thought about her because she was seeing things differently. A lot of times people don't have the power over you that you think they do, okay? Not when you have the ability and the God-given right to see things differently and therefore to approach things differently. Okay, that's part of the power that God has given each one of us. So let me give you an example. What do you see when you pray? When you pray, what do you see? Do you see those prayers reaching and piercing heaven and reaching God's ear? Okay. Or do you see your praying is just something that you do, like breathing, in and out, you pray, whatever, but they're going no place. It's a nice thing to do. That's the Christian thing to do, but my prayers are not doing anything. If that is if the latter way is the way that you feel about your prayers, it's time for you to change your eyeglasses. Change your eyeglasses, okay? What do you see when you look at the people in your life, whether it's in your private life or in your public life? What do you see in these people? Okay, let me give you an example. In the Bible, in the book named Philemon in the New Testament, the Apostle Paul challenged a wealthy landowner named Philemon, okay, to start seeing Onesimus not as worthless as he had been seeing Onesimus, but to start seeing him as worthy and to start seeing him as someone who can bring about good things even in Philemon's life, and to someone who is also Philemon's Christian brother, okay, his brother in the faith, to start seeing him totally differently. Paul was telling that rich landowner to change his eyeglasses. Okay, and the same thing is true for the opposite in our lives. We don't want to be looking down on people, but we don't want to be so enchanted by people, Christian or otherwise, that we are actually idolizing them. And if we are, because that's very unhealthy for us. So even if we are idolizing people, looking up to them, it's time to change the eyeglasses, change our eyeglasses, all right? By all means, show them all respect. But you know something? They're human just like you. So nobody other than God is worthy of your idolizing them, all right? Let me ask you another question. What do you see when you see yourself? If what you see does not line up with what God says in his word that you are, then it's time to change the eyeglasses. What do you see when you look at your situation? Whatever your situation may be, okay, whether it's good or bad, do you see God standing in the middle or in the midst of your situation? Because if you don't, then it's time to change your eyeglasses. Okay, we say he's all knowing, all powerful, and ever present. Well, if he's ever present, that means God is in every situation, good or bad, in our lives. Okay, he's there for us. All right. Jesus gave us a wonderful example of how to change what we see when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, okay, just before his arrest and crucifixion. Jesus was not just looking at what was in front of him, okay, but when he had to shift from that. When he looked at what was in front of him, okay, when he looked at what was in front of him, I need to step back for a moment. When Jesus looked at what was in front of him, okay, his soul became grieved. He became anxious, okay? He became sorrowful, just as we can be sometimes when we look at some situations that we or someone we love might be in, okay? Jesus said, and I'm going to, in Matthew 26:38, okay, 26:38, Jesus said that his soul, his very soul was sorrowful or overwhelmed to the point, okay, overwhelmed to the point until it felt like someone was killing his soul. How do you fix a soul? You can't take a pill to make a soul, what's inside of you, feel better. My soul is sorrowful. Jesus, the Messiah, said that. And I'm so glad he did, because when I feel that way about something, I think of Jesus, and then I'm able to look and see what Jesus did in that situation. Well, Jesus never denied his true feelings. He admitted them. He shared them with us. This situation stinks, okay? Yet he gave us an example of how to readjust our vision, how to ask ourselves, what do you see? And give a different answer, okay? He showed us when you're in a situation that you don't know how to change, when we speak to the mountain and it is not going to move, okay? Because it is the will of God that it not move, okay? All right? Then we can do what Jesus did, okay? It's as though Jesus said, the cross that I don't want to go to, the cross is in my human form, I should say. He didn't want to go to it. The cross is not something that's going to go away because it is fulfilling a greater purpose of God. But I can put on another set of eyeglasses even as I am walking or moving to the cross, okay? All right? And when he reached that point, he said, Father, Father, if it is possible, let this cup, let this destiny, this great problem, this pain, this impending disaster, let it pass from me if it's possible. But nevertheless, you're not going to move it, okay? You're not going to move it. So Jesus basically took off his eyeglasses and put on the Father's eyeglasses. And he said, when he did that, he was able to say, not as I will, but as you will, okay? Even Jesus at different points had to look beyond the immediate of what was in front of him and start looking at it the way the Father saw it. I'm so glad that he gave that example of what the human side of us will do. So we don't have to feel bad when we feel anxious. We can just look and see, how did you handle it, Jesus? And we can do the same thing. So I ask you, what is your cross? Okay, what do you see as you walk to or towards, or as you carry, or as you hang from your cross? Is it time for you to do an eyeglass change? Is it time for you to switch to God's eyeglasses? So let's end where we began. As God asked Jeremiah, what do you see? At this very moment in your life, what do you see? What you see, it will tell you what you really believe, okay? What you see will tell you what you really believe. And what you see, it determines what will be your next step and your final step in that matter, as I said before. Will your next step be forward, backward, to the side, or no step at all? It all depends on what do you see, okay? All right. Sometimes we're waiting for God, and God is waiting for us to change and put on God's eyeglasses, okay? You have that power. You have that power. And you know something? What you see, it shows whose strength you're moving in. Are you moving in your strength, or are you moving in God's strength? What do you see? What do you see? Okay? And as God did with Jeremiah, God is doing that with you and with me. God is really working to help us to put on God's eyeglasses more and more and more in every area of our life, at every moment of our life. So I ask you again, what do you see? Because what you see is how high your faith is. So I ask you again, what do you see? Please, 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 for you and for me, may we always see and strive to see everything through God's eyeglasses. So thank you for joining us this week. God bless you. And if you need to reach out to us, if we can help you with prayer or such, you can always, the easiest way really is through our website. And that's at www.ffiministries.com. Again, thanks for joining us. God bless you.